Hello, good evening. Welcome to Cryptid Crunch. I am your host, Willow Schuyler. Tonight, we are going to be talking about the Warrens. Whether or not you're with them or could do without them, whether or not you believe in some of their stories. They have actually helped pop culture become pop culture in so many ways. We will discuss that in a moment. If I can just get my stuff together. All right. With me as always, Keisha!
Hi guys, I will sound dead today because I have the flu, so you're welcome.
She is being possessed by a grossly demon that
I imagine he's a little green demon that's like just snuck his way up my nose one day and he's just living inside of me.
It could be that oozing thing that from the Amityville Horror.
Oh, I thought that was my child. We
We'll
also have another special guest tonight too, though.
Yes, I'm excited for this. Donna Carly. She usually is in our chat with her husband, Carl.
We coerced her to do the show with us tonight.
She didn't
get a choice. No. I said we coerced you to do the show tonight. I just forced you into it, didn't I?
Oh, not really. Somebody gave me a chance to put down the Warrens, and I said, I'm in.
That's what it was. Mm. You jumped on that pretty fast, though. I was like, hey, you want to do the show? And you were like, yeah.
I'm always here for you guys. You know that.
Yes.
I'm excited to do the show, though. Like, it's something that's been on the back of my mind for a while. And then, of course, I saw the podcast. I watched the podcast with Jack Osborne, and they're talking about this one case of the Warrens. And I'm just like, oh, okay, we have to talk about this. Because I found it, like, some of the weird research or some of the stuff that I looked up. This is one of the weird things that popped up for me was the fact that Ed Warren was a painter, and he would go around painting pictures of houses that he felt was haunted, and he would go to the owners of these houses and try to sell them.
Not gonna lie, I actually like his paintings. They're actually really decent.
Beautiful.
Yeah. But
as
a collector, he would use that as a foot in the door to get inside people's houses. It's like when a thief would come and say, "Can I do this survey with you?" And while all the time they're looking around your house, going, "Okay, I'm going to take that and that and that." It's the same premise.
I feel like he would leave a ghost with me. No.
And Ed was a self-proclaimed demonologist, and he trained himself to be a demonologist. I'm not sure how I feel about that because, I guess they're around in the 50s, the 40s and 50s. There wasn't really any real training to become a demonologist.
No, you had to do it yourself. And then they created in, 52, the New England Society for Psychic Research.
He had like tons of people with him too. He had like scientists, he had police officers, he had like all of these high class people involved in it. And it's like, okay.
and you know why? Because his group was called a research group. That's what made it.
I can barely convince my friends to help me. Like when I had to move out of my apartment, I could barely get them to help me out.
You're doing it. You're having a house research group.
I'll have to
I
remember that.
100% could start a cult if I wanted to. I feel like I
thought
could get
you
people to
guys
follow
were.
me. Are you guys not my cult? I feel like you guys are already in my cult.
I thought we were.
We believe in you, yeah.
Yes. I'm
Yeah,
down. Let's do this.
they created this in 52. I was born in 56. So I literally grew up with Ed and Lorraine Warren, hearing about them and the things that they did, except
Okay.
my little brain's going, there can't be demons in every haunting.
Well, that's
That's
my question is when you were younger and naive, did you believe it more than you like I know you're a skeptic now, but when you were younger, were you more susceptible to the lies that they told?
Oh, absolutely. I sorry, Donna, go ahead.
um if you mean skeptic for the Warrens, it caught on really quick because, like I told Willow earlier, mathematically speaking, didn't matter what you believed, didn't matter your religion, whatever. Mathematically, it was impossible for 100% of those hauntings to be demons. Just the math does not add up.
The math wasn't mathing right.
Yeah, not for me. Now, ghost, yeah, I believe in ghosts. I have a ghost here at the house,
Oh,
but I'm not going. No, he's not a demon though. He's a protector.
I feel like I have one of those as well cuz my daughters seem to talk to or point to somebody all the time. Um it may be evil, I don't know. I'll figure out when I'm if I
No,
become possessed, you guys, you'll know that it was not a good spirit.
see, like, okay, like I've had experiences with ghosts when I was a kid, and I do often have that feeling like if I pass by a place that has like strong energy, I will try to avoid that place depending on the kind of energy that it's emitting. But I will never, I could never go up to someone's house and go, "Hey, your place is haunted," you know.
yeah,
I 100% will. I am that person that walks past you in a store and goes, "You smell delicious." And they're like, "Excuse me?" And I'm like, "You smell delicious." I don't know how else to put it. You smell delicious. And so I would 100% walk up to somebody and be like, "Hey, I feel this energy coming from your house and I think you're a little bit haunted. Like, I might see some stuff in your windows." I feel like I would be that person. I don't want to just leave them with a haunting. But mine would be serious. Mine wouldn't be like lies to get money from people. I don't even like money. I should probably change that.
That's just it. Like, if you're dealing with a haunting and you're dealing with spirits, wouldn't you think that the best option for you to do is to try to get rid of them in some way instead of, let's write a story of these hauntings and perpetuate the lies continuously for 50 some odd years.
well, if you're like the Warrens, oh, this is going to bring us money. Yeah, we're going to write a book. Yeah, Bladed has a good question.
Sorry.
The people called Catholics to deal with them.
Oh, yeah, yeah. How about the fact that most hauntings people will call Catholics to deal with them if the spirit is something other than Catholic? You will just piss it off. That's a good point.
I'm gonna throw holy water at you.
Yeah,
I feel like that's how that would go.
Yeah, see,
Don't
okay,
get me wrong. I do have holy water in my house.
Oh,
I have holy water in my house, and I will use it. I will 100%. But whatever my daughter put on the back of my door is the strongest, most potent thing I've ever. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is keeps whatever she wants out. I think I told you guys a while ago that Dolores christened one of our doors downstairs. She made this concoction out of like dirt and like I honestly don't know what else was in it. There was like some leaves and some dirt and some whatever. She put it on the back of our door downstairs to our what is now a storage closet because she refuses to use it as a bedroom.
Huh.
But she put it on the door and she said that's to keep the bad guy in. And I was like, you know what? It's staying there and it's still there to this moment. That is the most potent thing on the planet. I will never take that off the door. But I think that's more important than holy water.
As long as
no offense if you're
as
Catholic.
long as you believe that that's keeping spirits at bay or whatever demon is behind that door at bay, then go for it. You know.
But to answer Lady Thesis's question, I think it's because the Catholic Church has more rites and ceremonies than the other Christian religions.
Yeah, because I don't recall, like, in all my times of, growing up in the with going to church and stuff like that, I don't recall ever hearing about there being, like, the Christian faith having people come to the house and bless the house.
Mm-hmm.
I hear all the time about Catholics sending the priests, but no.
So I've been involved in both the Catholic Church and others, but the one that I found actually most involved with that has been Mormon. Like, they will come and they will give you blessings and they will bless your house and they will bless, like, before I had my daughter, they came and gave me a blessing to make sure that, but they blessed my house, they blessed everything to make sure, like, nothing went wrong. And I feel like they've been more in depth with than the Catholics were, because I remember growing up Catholic and I memorized a lot of stuff being Catholic, but I feel like I have a lisp right now. I'm sorry, guys.
Okay.
But growing up Catholic, I didn't feel like they were as involved. Like, I feel like a couple times they came to a few of my loved ones' houses, and like, I feel like that was only when they were dying. They came and they gave them a blessing when they were dying, but that was it. Mormons, they were like, bless this, and this. And I was like, okay. So I don't know. I'm going to have to look into that now to see if they actually do have anything for, like, hauntings and stuff. Now I'm curious.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't think of that before we started the show.
I was brought up Methodist, and there wasn't anything mentioned about that.
Like, I know that there are different cultures that do, the Aboriginals will come and do, like, sage blessings, and I don't know,
I feel like Wiccans have a lot of, or that kind of genre, I guess, of religions do that a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
I know there's, like, a lot of, like, little, we should probably touch on this on a future episode, but like, some, like, the old wives' tales of how to bless a home, and, like, putting something at the far east corner of the house, or like a little token.
Or, like, putting things in your windowsill and putting things outside of your window, putting things outside your door. You're not supposed to put a welcome mat in front of your door because it lets in evil things. Like, I didn't know that.
If you move
I did a bunch of research on it.
Yeah, if you move into a new house, take a loaf of bread and a shaker of salt, because that will ensure you will never be hungry in that house.
Oh, interesting.
Oh man, I should have done that. Oh no, I started a thing in the comments. Sorry. Thesis.
Oh, don't get me started on Mormons. I live in Utah and was baptized into that church, so I have my own. It's okay. Thesis. I have my own issues with the Christian faith too. So don't.
I have my own issues with literally every type of thing. I will pick it apart if you let me. No. I'm kidding, kind of.
I'm more than willing to listen to every type of religion, but like when it comes to my my own religion that I was born into and raised into, I'm just like la 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 la.
Yeah.
Did you guys, either of you, find out if they followed some religious, Lorraine and
Yes, because I'm
Ed?
pretty sure both of them were Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that explains why they had so many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they had. I'm fairly certain they had ties to the Catholic Church.
Because I was gonna say I didn't see it, but I also didn't dig into, hey, what do these people think? But sometimes that makes a difference. I've noticed, like, what people follow will make a difference as to what they preach or do. Which is probably why they were very heavy on the demons.
Yeah, and I'm fairly certain they had ties to the Catholic Church. And then Donna, or even Keisha, did you guys own any of their books?
No.
Because I heard about them, but I just never really picked them up. And
I
In a
feel like
Dark
horror,
Place
maybe.
was a basis for the 2009 horror film, the Haunting in Connecticut.
Mm.
That's the one where Ray Garton. Oh, this was crazy. He helped them co-write the book, and as he was getting information and interviewing the people who had the haunted house, he was noticing that the stories didn't go together. They couldn't keep them straight. So he went to Ed with this problem. And Ed says, well, they're crazy. Everybody who comes to us is crazy. Why else would they come? You got some story, use that, make up the rest, and make it scary.
yeah, that was the house that was supposedly old funeral home, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they claimed that they could see people walking through the people who had been on view there were now walking through their house.
Yeah, the basement was where they did the embalming, and where they had a mentally ill son who apparently was on drugs as well, and schizophrenic.
I was
And
checking to see if I had any of the books. Sorry.
and apparently both the mother and the father had suffered from alcoholism and other drug addictions as well. So it's like, yeah, I can see why people saw stuff.
Yeah.
Oh goodness, the comment section.
Dan's being cute again.
Oh, yeah, Dan Hollyfield. I think the only spirits Southern Baptists consider a threat are alcoholic ones. That's why they never seem to recognize each other at the liquor store.
I that actually hits home to me. I have been checking out alcohol before. Well, one of my church pastor wives walked up to me, and I was like, I promise I'm not an alcoholic. I was just looking at the pretty bottles, which, to my defense, I do collect wine bottles specifically for the shapes and stuff. So I have a whole collection of them. I've never opened them. Why? I don't know. But like the guilt is real there, guys.
Hey, nothing like okay. So the small town that I lived in for a while, they at one point they were a dry town. Think of the place. Think of the place in Footloose, and that was the place that I lived in. So yeah, they were a dry town, and the closest bar was just outside of the town itself because it just touching the border. because they couldn't have a bar inside of the city limits. Yeah. And then there was another bar further down that my friends would go to ever so often, and my youth pastor decided to walk in, and it's like, oh, but then he started drinking, and it's like, okay, so it's okay.
Okay. Yeah.
You're muted, Keisha, but
It's okay. I was just saying, you know what? Youth pastors seem to have a theme here, because my youth pastor is the first one I collected knives from. Like, he's the first one that I got a whip from. I had a mace from him. I had a whole bunch of knives from him. A whole bunch of shurikens. Is that what they're called? The throwing
I shouldn't be
knives?
surprised about this. I really shouldn't.
I still own them. I will eventually show you guys them, as long as it won't get us banned off of the show. I don't have the whip anymore because it was actual leather, and I lived in a trailer for a stint, and mice ate it.
Oh, interesting.
I was wondering that too, Dan.
Caught a whip or yeah.
You know what? Both. We'll go with that.
Oh, that was some youth minister.
He was actually really sweet. His name was BJ. So he's nice. BJ from Georgia, if you ever find this, thank you. Specifically Lilburn, Georgia. So if you know a BJ from Lilburn, Georgia, that's a youth pastor, he's your go-to guy for whips.
All right. On that note, okay. So, I'm trying to think of. Okay, so some of the stories. Okay. Let's touch on a little bit of Annabelle. The story of Annabelle. Okay, we've talked about her before. Although I did find out something interesting today about. Annabelle's story is actually related to a show of The Twilight Zone, an episode of The Twilight Zone.
Wasn't it two teenagers that called Ed and Lorraine and were like, hey,
two nurses.
I have this doll.
It started with two nurses.
Two nurses, okay.
According to the Warrens, in 1970, two roommates claimed their Raggedy Ann doll was possessed by the spirit of a young girl named Annabelle Higgins. But they are the one. Ed and Lorraine were the ones who told them about the name Annabelle. Apparently, they looked it up and found out that there was. Oh no! Wait, no! It was a psychic that they did talk to. Oh, so many. This story is kind of convoluted because there's so many different layers. There's so many stories behind it that you don't know what is true or not.
Which is yeah.
Because at one point I remember being told that it was Ed and Lorraine that it did the investigation on this, but they also had a priest or another psychic come in and do an investigation, and that's where the name Annabelle came from.
So does anybody remember in the 90s that there was a huge Raggedy Ann phase? I had an entire bedroom full of Annabelle, essentially. There was pictures all over the walls, and the whole room had like plastered Annabelle, and what's the other ones? Or not Annabelle, but you know what I mean. Raggedy Ann and
Raggedy Ann and Andy.
Yes. Like, I had an entire bedroom of that, and now I'm like, should I have? That was the first haunting that I ever thought about, because when me and my sister lived in that room, we had a bunk bed, and right above our bed was the attic. And of course, I was on the top bunk. And I remember we would always hear this creaking, like what is it? A rocking chair going back and forth up in the attic. We had never been in the attic before. It was closed off. We couldn't get up there unless we had a ladder. But that was the room. So maybe there was something wrong with the doll in general.
Okay, so I remember hearing other people having issues with the not the doll itself, but I remember hearing someone in passing, or like someone that I remember knowing, talking about their room having the Radian and Andy wallpaper, and it looked like at night it looked like their room was bleeding.
I did not see my room bleeding, but that would have been the cake. I would have yes.
I also heard that about the
Smurfs
wallpaper too, so I don't know how I don't know how much I believe these people, but I don't know.
Well, with all that red hair and the red on their dresses, I could see where it seemed to be.
Oh, it's the red hair. It's the evil coming from them. I know you know about that, Aunt Donna. Red hairs.
Yeah, I do. We are not evil.
Are you sure?
We're just cinnamon flavored.
But one thing that has always bothered me about the story of Annabelle was, okay, so Annabelle's in their occult museum, and they allow people to visit, and they also travel around with her to conventions. So apparently there's been the doll's been tied to having a couple accidents behind it. Whenever someone pokes fun at the doll, or in one instance, a priest came in and just kind of gave the doll a toss to the other side of the room. Now this story. There's so many different versions of it. Either the priest dies because their brakes got cut, or the priest lived after having a terrible accident and their car being cut in half by farm equipment. I tried actually looking it up to see if there was any known accidents of a priest in the vicinity of that area where the Warrens lived. And Keisha needs to leave to go check on her possessed baby. But yeah, so I didn't actually find any stories correlating to the priest's death around that time, or a severe accident involving anything of the sort of, cut brakes or a farm equipment accident. So yeah, at least not not during that exact time.
Mm-hmm.
I found a couple stories of later, of more modern accidents.
It's just one of those things that became an urban legend.
Yeah. And then of course there was the story of the guy getting into an accident with his bike and hitting a tree and dying. Again, it's just each time I've heard Ed and Lorraine talk, it seemed like their stories got different, like changed in some form or fashion. And even Ed, during one interview, couldn't keep his story straight of what location they were at.
Yeah, we're all of us. We don't tell the exact same story the exact same way every time, but the details are the same.
Yeah.
And when they don't get the details the same, you got to sit back and go, okay, which part of this am I going to believe or not believe?
Yeah, exactly. One of my biggest concerns was hearing Lorraine talk during this one interview, and it was an interview in 2000, and she sounded very scripted. Like it was almost like she was given something to rehearse, and it just bugged me, that whole interview. And yeah, Ed talked the majority of the time about different things, and the guy doing conducting the interview had to cut him off a couple times and said, "Okay, we need to, we're running out of time. We're, and I mean, yeah, the guy's a talker."
Yeah, also a control freak.
Mm-hmm. It's sad that we can't hear him talk now, but at the same time, oh, that's another thing that about this couple is all their supposed proof, video proof of these hauntings somehow
All of
isn't
this.
around.
Mm-hmm.
But they kept claiming that they have this proof of these hauntings. The only supposed proof that they had was a video of the white lady. In, there was sorry, my husband just all of a sudden started singing. They were conducting an investigation at a cemetery, and Ed said that there was a white lady walking about, and he apparently turned on his camera and caught it. But all it is just like a little smudge moving about. You can't really tell where where they are.
Well, there was another one where he caught evidence. Turned out to be a friend of theirs with a bedsheet over her head.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they went that far. Now, Netflix does have a documentary called The Devil on Trial. Pretty much pulls out the stops telling where they went wrong here and there. So that would be. I didn't have a chance to look at it before tonight, but I'm like, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, there was a story of some witch that apparently killed babies, and so they went to this to investigate where she was buried, because apparently where she was buried there was like some energy, Bathsheba. But other investigators have gone through this case and proved it wrong.
Hmm.
But yeah, just a lot of these. Like there was one that they did in Enfield. In 1977, the Warrens investigated claims that a family in North London of Enfield was haunted by poltergeist activity. While a number of independent observers dismissed the incident as a hoax carried out by attention-hungry children, the Warrens were convinced that it was the case of demonic possession. The story was the inspiration of The Conjuring 2, although critics say the Warrens were involved to a far lesser degree than portrayed in the movie, and in fact had shown up to the scene uninvited and been refused admittance into the home. Guy Lyon Playfair, a parapsychologist who investigated the Enfield case along Maurice Groves, also says the film greatly exaggerated the Warrens' role in the investigation. He stated in 2016 that they turned up once, and that Ed Warren told Playfair the Warrens could make a lot of money out of the case. He corroborated the claim that the Warrens were not invited to the Enfield house and that nobody in the family had ever heard of him until Ed Warren turned up.
They did that a lot. They showed up at like the middle or the end of an investigation, but then they publicized that it was their investigation.
Yeah. As in the case with the Amityville Horror, I recall them selling the movie rights and getting the money from that, and the Lutzes didn't make a profit from that from the actual the actual movie, but then they had the rights to all the sequels that came out. So, I mean, all the sequels that didn't portray them.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that, and I think I'm there. Oh, and another interesting fact is that with some of these cases of their investigation, a lot of the happenings stopped after they showed up or after they left.
What a coincidence.
Carl says they were good at insinuating themselves into things once the media showed up. Yeah, exactly. And that just tells you what kind of people they were. And the more that I hear about them, the more I look into them, the more this is why we can't have nice things.
On the other hand, we're getting more sophisticated. The public's getting more sophisticated. And unless you're too emotionally involved, you could probably figure out who's pulling your leg and who's not.
Yeah. And also with the case of the Amityville Horror, like they put out a picture of what was supposedly a little boy at the top of the staircase. It ended up being one of their camera guys.
Mm-hmm. Hey, you do what you gotta do.
The only reason why they made money off that picture was because they managed to cash it in a way where it looked like the eyes were glowing. Yeah.
Which is hard to do because humans' eyes do not, there is no eye shine like with animals.
Yeah, I don't know. Just it's a black and white photo, and yeah.
I wonder if maybe they put like eye drops or something in his eyes. That would have done it.
I will see if I can bring it up.
That's very true, Carl.
And the trouble is that the Warrens were saying what people wanted to believe. Yeah, exactly. Those people would be vindicated. They took a lot of advantage of the naïve. And I mean, 1970s, 1980s, even up to the 90s, there was a lot of misrepresentation of these stories. There was nothing really backing up what was actually happening. When the remake of the Amityville Horror came out, I remember I went down this big rabbit hole trying to find out the story behind it. And I remember seeing like all the stuff even from the Lutzes. George Lutz talked about it more than his ex-wife did. And I think he even did the circuit, like conventions and stuff like that, to talk about what he went through And I recall he even had a few choice words to say about the Warrens around that time.
You find it?
Yeah, finally. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just chastising my husband. Great Demon Uprising of the 80s? I must have missed that. I was at the bar.
The Great Demon Uprising of the 1980s. Okay, so there was there was a funny story, and I've touched on it with the Ice Cream Queens months ago, of this one family that tried taking advantage of the public's naivety. Oh, I can't say that word. Stupidity.
Okay. Works for me.
And they tried to say that their daughter was possessed, but they caught her on camera just knocking over a lamp, and it like later on, it just, yeah, the fact that people actually believe that this case was actually real it makes you shake your head. But yeah, here's the picture. That picture was just it looked like a little kid, but it's one of the camera operators, because they did a comparison of what the camera operator was wearing the same kind of shirt and had the same kind of hairstyle. Ignorance, perhaps. Yeah, I could say that.
Nicole was mentioning the red eyes flash bulbs back then, but that shiny eyes is definitely not that either.
Yeah, it's the reflection of light on the blood in the eyes, retina. The red eyes from the old flashbulbs in the 70s. Yeah, I don't know. I honestly don't know what could have caused that look.
If that was taken today, I would have said somebody photoshopped, because it's just like they took the eyes out.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember if no, I don't think he was wearing glasses. But yeah, he was just setting up the cameras or some kind of some of their equipment, and they happened to snap that picture.
For sure.
Exactly, and I've touched on that as well. They have been doctoring photos since the 1800s. I've touched on that as well in a previous episode. But yeah, thesis says that's the reason for all the red eye photos and all the flash photography. But yeah, Chris Walker says sounds like the ghosts or spirits didn't want anything to do with the Warren couple either.
Nope.
But yeah, I'm actually amazed at how many people still think that this couple is, the best paranormal experts out there, and it's just like, no. You can't even call them that anymore. I mean, I'm sure there was at least some stupidity involved, but I'd like to think it wasn't all the stupidity. I mean, yes, that was their main bread and butter was was the stupidity of people.
Or how naive they could be.
They are, and I know you're not supposed to speak ill of the dead, but
What? They're not alive. They don't care.
Oh, Joe Dog. They were the best hoaxers out there. Yeah, and I wanted to be a paranormal investigator. I still kind of do, but I have a heart. I couldn't.
Joe Dog used to be a paranormal investigator.
And I had him on the show at one point, and I I admire what they do, but I also would like to help the spirits, find their way.
Go towards the light, whatever. Yeah.
Unfortunately, as a paranormal, wow, I can't speak, investigator, you can't really do that because otherwise you lose money. Oh, I like that. With the fact that they're dead, so why haven't they come back to prove ghosts? I mean, I have a spirit board. I could probably conjure up their spirits.
No,
I don't really want
no
to do
spirit
that.
board. Besides, if they were to come back, they'd have to come back as demons because, according to them, hauntings are only demons, not just ghosts.
Have you seen any of the Conjuring movies or any of the Amityville horror stuff?
Oh, I've seen the first one of each.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not really big into horror, but there's some things you kind of have to watch because they're so iconic.
Yeah, I watched the remake when it came out in theaters, like the one with Ryan Reynolds, and I thought that was really well done. My husband kind of makes fun of me because he's like, "Well, you couldn't, you had to have the light on." I'm like, you know what? I'm not the only one who got kind of spooked out. I mean, considering his dad, had to drive with his car light on when he watched Aliens. So, we all have our moments where we got scared, and Joe doesn't like it. Joe got scared of The Grudge, so.
Oh, well, yeah, the trailer for that was enough.
But I like it. I liked the movie for what it was. It was very well done. I knowing now, the fact that based on a true story isn't exactly true either.
Well, it's like all those TV shows that's based on so and so's novel. Yeah, they've used the characters out of there, but that's about it.
Based on a true story, the characters and situations are greatly exaggerated. Maybe Dolores and Ed locked in that. Dolores and Ed locked in that closet.
Well, he was a bad man.
Hey, Nick. Nick pushes Horror Channel, and nice to meet you. Thanks for coming here and visiting us. I was really hoping that these people were better people.
Unfortunately, not.
But yeah, and hearing about some of the other stories, like the abuse, I don't know. I feel I feel bad that if that is true for Lorraine. I'm, I hope they are at peace. But
At least not together.
The only movie that really freaked me out was Mirrors. I avoided reflective surfaces for a while after that one. I can't say I have seen that one. There was a couple interesting horror movies from the 80s that I remember seeing, and but yeah, I think the 70s and 80s had like produced a lot of cool horror movies.
Mm-hmm.
And I was actually saying this to Joe earlier. That's one thing that I miss about renting movies is looking at the box art of a lot of these movies. And I think the movies from the 70s and 80s had better box art than the movies out now. At least that's just me. Like the movie posters have always been really interesting. But I don't know. Just Ed and Lorraine's story. The more we dig into them, the more I find out that they're horrible people, and it just puts a distress in like the paranormal as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that there are people out there that do this, and all the Warrens was storytellers. Really,
Yeah.
really good storytellers, but they had people working with them to tell these stories.
True.
So you can't really tell it's not really Ed's story or Lorraine's story. It's whoever they hired to make these stories.
Well, and in an article I read, it pointed out, were they really so bad because they didn't make that much money off of it? And I'm like, does it have to be a certain amount?
Well, we're still we're talking about them right now, so that's they helped create pop culture in a way. Because if it wasn't for the Warrens to tell the story of the Amityville Horror, would we know who they are? Probably not. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. The trouble is that poor people who paid them money for books, etc., hoping to find some hope of an afterlife. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thesis says the only movie that really freaked me out was. Oh, sorry. That's. Sorry. The beginning of Fargo makes a blurb about it being based on a real story. Well, the the accents are real. But here's okay. So the story of Fargo is like there's like 3 or 4 different stories. That movie is based off of. So it's like they created all these characters surrounding like different stories and just tied them all together.
Wow.
At least that's what I was told when that movie came out. Well, Donna, I appreciate you joining us here tonight.
Glad I could come and help stir up trouble.
Yes, sorry, Keisha had to take off, but she'll be back for the next episode. Oh, and speaking of the next episode, there probably won't be a Cryptic Crunch live episode anyway on the 19th because I'm going to a convention. So I'm gonna try setting up StreamYard for a previously aired episode to go on in its place. But yeah, hey, KeyCon. If you guys are up in Winnipeg at all, come see me at KeyCon, which is our sci-fi convention. We're going to be announcing, me and my partner in crime will be announcing that we're taking it over for next year May long weekend.
We'll have fun and good luck.
Yeah, I'm excited. And what do you have planned for the rest of the month?
I have a new Hunter's Ridge book coming out the end of May.
Ooh, what's it called?
Darn. Robberies, Remodeling, and Romance.
Ooh. Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Looking forward to that.
Carla gets herself in trouble again.
Are you gonna do a Kickstarter for it, or just gonna put it online?
Just put it online.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to. Oh, hi, Joe.
Everyone says hi.
You'll be able to find it on indiecd.org. Joe's wonderful database of creatives.
Yes, and that's a page that I have to promote a little bit more too. My of mine. So awesome! I'm looking forward to seeing all the good good things coming up from promoting your book and everything. So where can people find you on social media? Are you?
I'm only on Facebook. I'm an old broad. I don't change habits very often. That and indiecd.org.
I'll make sure to put up a link for people to find you at later. So if you guys like the show and you guys want to see us go to other conventions and even update our equipment, you guys can go to patreon.com/serialboxpodcast. Become a subscriber, like, share, all that wonderful things. You can find me all over social media. I am the social media socialite. So yeah, you guys can find me YouTube, Instagram, Facebook. You guys can also find me on TikTok. I am on Twitter, but I use it so very sparingly, and on Threads. So yeah. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. I appreciate it. And let's hear from our sponsor, Comic Books for Kids.
Comic Books for Kids provides comic books to kids in hospitals and cancer centers across the U.S. It's a place where we can all work together to make sure every child has a comic book. 100% of all proceeds go towards the kids. It's about making a difference, and while they're in the hospital, allowing them to fly like a superhero, battle dragons, or rescue teddy bears. We are in every state in the country and now support over 160 hospitals. Every month, we add more.
Visit cb4k.org.
It's like Coca-Cola, Levi's